So where are we at? We got 41 people. That is plenty enough to get the show on the road and open my aquarium box, and then I'll go back to answering questions and comments and stuff from the peanut gallery, my notification squad, my best buds, you guys. A little perspective. All right. I'll stop goofing around. Well, I won't completely stop, of course. Hey YouTube, this is Peck Tech, and it is time again to open a My Aquarium box. I'm opening a My Aquarium box, and I'm talking to the notification squad here, and we are going to have a little show. I'm not sure how long this one will be. I don't have a lot of stuff to talk about. I am going on vacation in a couple of weeks. I've got a couple of tanks that I'm about to set up, but we've talked about a little bit already, that 20-gallon. I got another paycheck or two to get through, and I'll be able to order all the rest of the supplies. So I've been shopping around though and thinking a lot about how I want to put it together. And really, with any project, it's better to just think a little bit more about what you're going to do, and that way you only have to do it once, and you don't have to apologize to like thousands of people on the internet. All right, so we're gonna break this bad boy open in the most awkward way possible. The sword that I picked up a long time ago. My friend used to be in the SCA. That's the Society of Creative Anachronisms, and they dress up in medieval garb and hit each other, usually with swords of all sorts. Oh man, this is prime internet content right here. You won't see it anywhere else. Well, unless someone else does it. They might. Probably won't. It's cringy as shit. Alright. Got it open. Let's take a look inside. And this was a heavy box this month. I'm pretty excited to see what's in here. So I don't want to spoil. Don't even want to spoil it for me. This is the scorecard. Seems a little bright. This is the scorecard, and the value I'm covering up. The value is $44.45. Of course, my aquarium box is about $25. And the small business spotlight is Green Oasis Farms. Mike from Arizona shoots YouTube videos and sells aquarium plants from his greenhouse. Green Oasis Farm. Oh, I have to check it out. My aquarium. Oh, I'm not going to give you the coupon code. All right. Of course, all their sponsors. You can win. If you didn't know, you can win My Aquarium box on their Facebook page, and you can win them or you can win a mega box by making a video opening your product just like this. Doesn't have to be as weird and wacky as the ones I do. Give one of those away for saltwater and freshwater. Also, you should know that my aquarium box, I'm not affiliated in any way with my aquarium box. I'm just a huge fan. I really love to open their products on my channel. It's just kind of entertaining, and I like mystery boxes. I always have. When I was a kid, we'd go to the Piggly Wiggly, and I'd buy these little brown bags full of like random things. Sometimes they're candy, sometimes they're like worms, like bait worms and stuff, like the plastic ones. Anyway, moving on. Enough sharing about my life in Tennessee. This is, what is this called? Your Fish Food? YourFishStuff.com. And yeah, they've got $5 off your next order. Oh, and right into it. Okay, what is this? Live Spirulina Algae Starter Culture. How cool! Wow, it's like this is like a whole little project in itself. Hold on a second, I want to kill one of these lights. It's just a little bit too bright, I think. Oh. Alright, so this is an algae culture starter kit. Wow, I'm going to have to read. Obviously, there's a little bit to know. And I'm going to read about that, and maybe we'll talk about this soon. Very cool, something to talk about. And a koozie. Oh yes. If only I had a beer. If anyone in my family is watching and they're downstairs, there's one beer left and Daddy would love to have it. Here's a card from Green Oasis Farms. Of course, they're on YouTube. And they got a discount code here for 20% off. We got a sample of bug bites. And this is the one, the tropical formula. It's my favorite. I got a couple of little samples of that, and I've been feeding it to everybody up here. And it's really, really cool. Yeah. So it's made, it's got, what is it? I think it's black fly larvae or something, or black fly larvae and a couple of other ingredients, but it's a pretty decent food. My fish have all loved it, so I do recommend this one. What the? Oh my gosh. This is a really odd little thing here. I'll have to look on the manifest and see if this was just something Mr. Mass Aquarium snuck in for me or what. But that we got what looks to be a karate insect alien type creature. And I say karate, he's wearing a gi, obviously. He appears to know kung fu. He's quite flexible, maybe a little sticky. All right. Small alien for me. And what we got here? Can of blood worms. I remember they've given us this before, and it's actually a pretty cool product. Has a little spoon right there, so you can kind of spoon it out. It does come canned. Can of blood worms. You just pop open that can. It's got a lid. You can reseal it. And got this handy little fold-out spoon for dispensing the worms. The blood worms. That is hilarious. What we got here? Oh, I'm going to have to refer to the card. Fish keeping koozie. Spirulina, can of blood worms. Zeolite ammonia remover. So this is a supplement to remove ammonia. Stuff like this can be really handy in an emergency. Maybe you're cycling and you went a little too far ahead or something like that. Ammonia remover. You can throw this in one of those little bags, those little mesh bags like you use for the biological media. You can throw this stuff in there. Maybe save you some fish, or something to complement it, like a huge water change or something like that if you had an emergency. This is the last item, and it is a power head by Aquatop, and it is a 158 gallon per hour power head. And so I kind of wanted one of these. Now these are super handy for a lot of different things, okay? You could use them to move water. You could, if you put a sponge filter on the bottom of this, basically you've got a pretty effective filter. Also, you can use it just to move water around in certain ways. Like if you want to create a current, maybe your filter's like mostly over here, and you want to make sure the water's churning over on the other side, you could add this to help you out with that. I want to go ahead and take a look at it too. Air hose. Yeah, it's got the suction cups. It's got a little intake cover, and the water comes out here. And it's got a couple of other little parts. Yeah. Very neat. These are really handy. So really handy. I'm hoping Kerrigan doesn't steal it for her aquarium. She was talking about getting a power head for that saltwater tank. So to me it's too small for that, but I don't know. I don't know. She wants a lot of circulation. So that is not a bad My Aquarium box at all. Lots and lots of cool stuff. I did not see this fella in there. So I think Mike was slipping me Mike's slipping me a little special prize, or one of his kids are. Alright. Mike is a big kid though. He is. And here we go. My aquarium box. Awesome. So, moving on. Before I get started with the peanut gallery here, I wanted to tell you guys that I've been getting a lot of questions about cyanobacteria. Now, what cyanobacteria is this sort of a green slime. A lot of people, it's called like blue slime algae and green slime algae in some places. But it's not really an algae at all. It's a type of bacteria. And I actually made a video called Chemiclean versus Cyanobacteria. Chemiclean obviously comes in some packages, but once you open the package, it's this little tiny container. And I treated 2 different tanks. I've got enough to treat like quite a few more. That you very likely, it costs a little bit, like I think it was 17, 18 bucks, but it will clear that stuff up. And I've got a video that shows you the whole process, and it's never come back. I didn't do a whole lot of changes in that aquarium, and it didn't come back. So that's a good thing. Whereas before I was making like huge water changes and doing all this stuff, and it'd be back the next day. So cyanobacteria can be really difficult to get rid of. And I did it with my fish in. Or is that right? Or is that before I put the fish in? Well, it's supposedly this is safe for shrimp and fish, but that's just what the packaging says. I can't actually remember. I'll have to go back and watch my own video. I haven't watched it in a while. I can't wait to try this. Algae culture. Cool. Growing algae doesn't sound like it'd be that hard. If you have an aquarium already, know. Growing algae doesn't sound hard at all, right? Okay. So, on the 4th of July, I'm going to Sarasota, Florida, and I think we're going to go down. There's a big public aquarium down there, so we're going to go take a look at that. I don't know if I'll do a live stream while I'm down there. I might. I don't want to not take advantage of some beautiful scenery, so I'll try to at least shoot a video. I think last time I went to the beach, I shot one on what to do while you're on vacation with your fish and stuff like that. So, and that's actually a really funny video. A lot of clones dancing with all my hats and stuff. Not taking care of the cat. Didn't even realize we had a cat. So, clones, what do you do? What do you do? All right, so let's take some questions. Valley Fish, do you know what plant is in the middle of your 12-gallon edge? If you go back and watch the video, I wrote it out. It might be in the description too. No, not off the top of my head. I think it's something Taiwan. Is that vague enough? Yeah, you might want to watch the video and just, when I put it in, I know I put it up the Latin name, which is what you should always search for plants by if you can help it, because a lot of different common names float around for the same plant. Growing algae, turn on a red light and forget about it for a few weeks. No doubt. I should make some PecTech merchandise like t-shirts. I've been talking about making t-shirts for a long time, and it's weird because I've noticed a lot of people have t-shirts now, and a lot of people do. Like, I've been too slow to act on a lot of these things, and I don't want to feel like I don't want people to think I'm just following along. I want people to think I'm doing my own thing. But what I might do, what I'm thinking about doing, is sort of a live stream where I create something and then we sell it as a t-shirt. So I actually have some good ideas for t-shirts, some really cool things, and I used to be able to draw. Need a little bit of practice. I used to be pretty decent with art and stuff, and my wife is a very talented watercolor artist, so I think we could come up with some cool stuff. We'll try that soon. Thank you, Turd. That was Turd's question. Jonathan says, how's the tree doing? It's doing pretty good. One of the branches came loose just because I accidentally knocked it when I was doing a water change. Not the branch, but the stuff that I attached to the branch had come off. I'm not sure if I want to use that plant or if I want to use moss, like for this big 20 gallon. The 20 gallon's just sitting over here. Yeah, it's sitting over there empty. Probably hard to see. So I'm not sure if I want to do that stuff or moss. If I do that stuff, I'm going to have to get a lot more of it. I'm trying to grow it out as fast as I can, but that's another thing. Is like, there's no need to be in a hurry because I don't have anything to attach to the trees. I could do moss, but it just, I don't know. I like the other stuff because they look like tiny leaves, and that, I think it makes it look more like a tree. Shelby, do you have a light on all night in a fish tank with plants? No. I do a very conservative 6 hours a day normally. There are a couple of tanks that run a little bit longer, but no more than 10. So between 6 to 10 is the magic number, and I lean towards 6 because there's less work to do. And by that I mean it grows less algae. Sometimes it grows less plants too, but you don't want to be trimming your plants every week. I prefer to trim my plants like every 5 to 6 months or something like that. Kylo says, not shirts, but aquarium towels instead. What's cool is I actually do have a Cafe Press page. Have you ever heard of Cafe Press? Cafe Press is a place where you can upload designs and stuff like that. But I think when I started that, I was into bearded dragons. So it's like just a bearded dragon shirt and probably something else offensive that I made. But you can actually order stuff through there. And on that web page, you could put the same image, like whatever thing you like, you can put it on coffee mugs and calendars and all kinds of stuff. But I don't think you get much of a return off the, like, people have to buy millions of things for it to, like, be really worth it to me. Let's see. Dang, your vacation's Dragon Con. I've been to Dragon Con a whole bunch, Paul. We haven't been in the past couple of years, but this year, man, they've got a concert that's tempted me to go. I think I want to go to. I want to go to Steam Powered Giraffe and Frenchie and the Punk are playing. Okay, I've got interviews with both of those bands. Really, really cool bands. I've never actually gotten to see the full Steam Powered Giraffe concert, but they're a really, really amazing group. And I love Frenchie and the Punk, both on a personal level and their music. Really, really good people. Help, my tank is covered with white fungus or bacteria. Ugh, I'm not sure what to tell you. Not sure what to tell you, man. William, that could be, if it's a brand new tank, well, I definitely can't do it with a one-sentence description. You might have to turn to Google for that. I've never experienced just white fungus everywhere. Now, when I put driftwood in, especially spiderwood, I do get sort of this white fungusy stuff, which I usually wipe off. If you have a mono shrimp, they eat that stuff. Probably cherry red shrimp will eat on it too, but they'll eat that stuff right off there. So, Sama, are you going to Reefapalooza, New York? Probably not. Probably not. I just can't afford it. And here's the other thing, guys, is I'm like within shooting distance of being completely debt free, like no debt whatsoever. And once that happens, I'll be able to do all kinds of stuff. But I'm toughing it out until that point. Yeah. So until then, I'm definitely going to Chicago. I'm going to the Aquatic Experience in Chicago. If you guys are around there, all kinds of people that are way more famous than me will be there, so there'll be a lot to see, but be sure to say hello if you see you there. And I wanted to go, I don't know if it's happened already, but I wanted to go to that one in New Orleans, and I think I saw Jason is heading up to the ACA convention, which is up north. It's a little bit too far away too for me to get to. You know, if I'm trying to do just one big, huge one. So I'm doing the Aquatic Experience. I've been there before. I really liked it. So the Aquatic Experience is in November. It's like November 2nd, I think. that weekend. Kevin says hi. Hello, Kevin. Computer went to sleep. Neon Tetra Aquarist. Hello, Neon Tetra Aquarist. He's going to a One Republic concert soon. I don't know who that is. Kevin says, hi, Mr. P. I like your logo, Kevin. Looks like the X-Men. Daniel, I've been shooting distance also, but the target keeps moving. I know, right? And I've got all this carpet to replace and all this other stuff, but I think I can still do it. I think I can still do it and make it happen really, really soon. Oh, Scotland! Oh, I love Scotland. I love to listen to you talk. So, is it worth dirtying a tank? Neon Tetra Aquarist wants to know if he should dirt a tank. You know, I'm kind of up and down with the dirted tank thing. I mean, I like it. I like it a lot, and for a long time, it grew my plants really, really well. Really, really well. Now it seems to really calm down, and I'm starting to think, oh man, I need to start adding fertilizers or something to liven it up in there. But I mean, like for that first 8 months or so, it was rolling, and like my sword plants have never done as well in any other tank as they did in here. Especially the Vesuvius sword, everybody loves those curly sword plants and stuff like that. But now it's just really calmed down, and I'm going to go refer to my dirty plant guide, which is why I used Dustin's dirty plant guide to put this back together and kind of see what maybe long term. I know I read it, that thing thoroughly several times when I first set this up, and now it's been almost a year or over, probably coming out a year or just over a year. So I have to look and see what you're supposed to do long term. I don't know. I wouldn't think you would have to add root tabs. I wouldn't think it would disintegrate so soon, but or maybe I just have to break it down and start again. I'm not sure. So it's pretty fun, but it's not without doesn't seem to be a long-term thing for me yet. Rockstone, what fluval tank should I get that is 2.5 gallon to 3 gallons? Well, they have a 2.8 gallon, almost 3 gallon, and that's the spec 3, and they have a 5 gallon, which of course the spec 5, and I was trying to think if they had any other brand kind of things. And more recently, and then it goes up to the Edge 6 gallon. And they probably have other, depending on where you are in the world, they might have other things. I know that they don't sell all those aquariums everywhere in the world, but I've had all those tanks. I haven't had, and because they've worked, excuse me, guess nobody heard me on the beer thing. Daddy needs a beer! Invoke my Tennesseaness. Okay, so what was I saying? Oh yeah, because those aquariums worked really well, I haven't needed another one. So I do recommend them. I think that they're nice, they're simple. The only thing I really had a problem with those tanks with the light, it seems like my smallest specs, both those lights burned out. Eventually the cord got messed up on one of the other specs too, and that light went out. So, but a lot of times I like to replace them with those 13-watt compact fluorescents anyway. Yeah, the spec. Okay. Let's see. So Paul says, so do you think my algae issue in my planted tank might be too much light? It's very possible. It's very possible it could be too much. Especially if you go over 7 or 8 hours a day, you're kind of rolling the dice. A lot of the planted tanks, I don't think, would need to go more than 8 hours a day. You're welcome, Rockstone. There's all kinds of different scenarios there. But, yeah. Let's see. Have you ever had luck collecting your own driftwood? No. I've never actually ventured out to do that. I've been told that you can do that. I've been told that you can go out and get it and boil it or cook it in the oven for 350 for like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. Yeah, so you can sterilize wood and put it in your tank, but you definitely want to know what type of wood it is when you get it. And I'm not, I don't know, I'm not a biologist. I don't know. I can't tell you like a lot about one tree. I mean, I can do the basic ones, right? I know what a pine tree is, and I know what an oak tree is, and some things that are common to this place, but if you don't know what type of wood it is, it makes it really hard to Google it and see if it kills all your fish. Because some wood just isn't good. I made a rhyme. Let's see. Oh, Daniel says you live there. You live where we're going. Very cool. Very cool. If I know in advance and you follow me on Facebook, can meet up at the aquarium or something if you want. If you feel like going to the aquarium down there, it might be cool. Geek Zeke, what's going on with the Nano reef? That's been strangely fascinating. I'm trying not to be like so fascinated that I just start doing reef tanks, but it's been cool. It's kind of like having a grandchild, At the end of the day, I don't have to change the water in there and fuss with it and stuff, so it's pretty neat. But right now, what we're doing is we're watching things crawl out of the coral that came in. And it's really strange to think that was just, she brought that in, picked it out of that aquarium with her hand, wrapped it up in newspaper and brought it home, and then put it in the water maybe, before it got dry, put it back in the water. And now that we have a brittle star, like a tiny brittle star, that I showed it in the video. At the end of the video, you can see the brittle star running around. And I shot that video after we talked, so none of the things that she was talking about were actually in the video, but I just showing something moving around in there. And at the time, I didn't even know what it was. I just was like, wow, that's cool. But yeah, they're pretty neat. They're pretty neat. I'm hoping that, I guess if it gets too big, we'll just, or if it survives and it gets too big, we'll just take it back to the store. They can have it. But it's pretty neat. Oh, Nancy says you'll be in Sarasota over the 4th. Your sister lives there. Oh, lucky. I wish I had a relative that lives there. I'm really tempted just to buy a house there. I love Sarasota, Florida. It is just the host of so many fun vacations with my family. Do we get bristle worms on the rock? Well, we haven't had it very long. That video, she put that up Saturday or Friday. No, she put it up like Thursday or Friday, and then so we haven't had the aquarium, but even a week yet. Oh, hello from Brazil. Renan. Okay, I'm going to stop pronouncing people's names. Oh, Freshwater Aquatic says hello. Geek says, let's see, Daniel says, I've noticed taking care of small tanks is easier to manage than large tanks. Can you give us well, okay. In some ways, small tanks are easier to take care of just because you don't have as much water to move, not as much glass to scrape, plants to trim, or whatever. But if things go wrong, they also go wrong in this incredibly fast. I've had a tank go sour overnight almost on me. I had a spec 3-gallon with a betta in it, and I tried to do a dirted tank, and the tank was doing good. Something happened in that tank, and I tried to do like a mini dirted tank. Something went wrong in there, and everything was looking beautiful, and then suddenly the betta was dead. And that could have happened anyway, or it could have been something in the tank. But I got kind of disheartened with the whole thing, and I dismantled the entire aquarium. That's the first time I've ever just thrown in the towel and given up. I just didn't want to mess with it. And I definitely don't want a chance of something being poisonous to my fish or something. So I scrapped that tank, and I kept this other little one going. I just started a 5.5-gallon Nano reef, moved everything from a 2-gallon fluval spec to wow. That is Nano. That's super tiny. When I was at the Aquatic Experience 2 years ago, I saw like what must have been a 2-gallon tank, but it had a filter on it that looked like it was 6 gallons. It had this backpack filter on it, basically, to keep it clean. Leilani, hi all. Hello, Leilani. Good to see you again. You come a lot. I've seen your name a couple of times in there. And let's see. Okay. Turd wants to know. I'm sorry if I missed it, but should I get a 6-gallon, or a spec 5-gallon? The Edge 6-gallon. I didn't like the Edge 6-gallon as much. I love the 12-gallon Edge. It's much easier. Just the depth of it means you can kind of get in there and move around a little bit more. And the light, to me, the light's so bright on the 6-gallon. It's too bright in the center, and then it gets a little dim towards the edges and stuff. Like, I love the look of it, but I didn't like the depth of it. I thought the depth of it made it extremely difficult to manage. Now, I didn't keep it myself. I actually, the spec that, or the 6-gallon Edge, one of my most popular videos that I did on my channel, a friend of mine bought it, and I set it up for him at work. Now, I looked at it every day at work, but it wasn't my tank to keep up. But he had a hard time with it, and eventually in the end he gave it to me. So I have it empty on my shelf, and I'd like to do a mod. I'd like to do like some kind of crazy mod with it, like put a sump on it or something crazy like that. So I'm still thinking about what I want to do with that. Maybe next year or late this year I can do something cool. Nick says, I should have read the instructions. I have some of those bloodworms. I assume you mean gave some of those bloodworms to your African cichlids. Only a few, will they be okay? Yeah, I think so. Most African cichlids can handle worms and insects like that, especially if it's just a little bit. It says not for well, I think what that means, I don't give health advice for people or fish, but I think what that's implying is that it doesn't have the nutritional balance that's really meant for African cichlids. It might not be that it's bad for them. It might be just you're feeding them candy, something they can't really use. But I don't think they'd be poisonous to them or anything like that. Should I order from my aquarium box, or is it worth it? Well, it's worth it to me. I like the surprise. I like the surprise box, and I tell you what, I've used so many of the things I got out of my aquarium box. I've used, and I've tried to show you guys. Like, I point out when I use it too, because there's always the haters that say, "Oh, I wouldn't have bought all that stuff in the store." That's half the reason I like getting it. Like, it's kind of like some money allocated to trying new things, all right? And especially for me, I've got a YouTube channel, right? So it gives us something to talk about. What came in the box and stuff. At first I went for the mega box, and then after that was over, I was like, I want to keep making videos. I enjoyed talking about the stuff that comes in the My Aquarium box. I would say I think it's worth it. I have gotten boxes that I liked less than others, but I've also gotten boxes with things I've never heard of before that end up being pretty essential. Weirdly, one of my favorite things I've gotten recently is the pump for these things. Replacing that cap, like trying to fill that cap with whatever liquid you're dispensing and stuff. This is Excel. It's a little blown out and stuff. This does like 5 milliliters every time you pump. I got that in my aquarium box. I never would have thought of that. Although it's an incredibly simple idea. That's just one of many, many things. Like this koozie. Here's if you're new, here's a Pec Tech Easter egg, okay? So the first My Aquarium box that came, there was a Tetra cup. I think it's still in Kerrigan's room because she used it to set up her tank. There's this blue Tetra cup And it was just kind of one of those weird swag things, right? That I know that they threw in extra with that first box, but I've elevated it to becoming my essential aquascaping tool, and you'll see that cup as an Easter egg in just about every aquascape I do. I keep that cup with my aquarium stuff. That is my aquascaping cup now. It's my essential aquascaping gear, and it's just kind of a nod to really making use of like anything you get. There's nothing you're going to get that's not going to be useful at some point. Like I've never had like a major ammonia problem and had to put stuff in my filter for it, but maybe this is handy to counteract like when I use aqua soil next or something like that, and I get that ammonia spike when it first starts. Maybe I can kind of mitigate that a bit. Yeah, so you never know. Let's see. Nancy says she loves the cup. Saw KP use it. Yeah, and someone I mentioned a T-shirt earlier. I want to do a T-shirt that's just that blue cup. I'm going to call it Hero Cup. But my wife's like, nobody will get that. Nobody will get that. Do I use Purigen? I've got a bunch of samples of it, and I like to throw it into a new tank when I first set it up, just to kind of get anything that first seeps out of the water. But I don't have to use it on a regular basis, or I don't continue to replenish it in any particular aquarium. So, if that makes sense. You could only buy a superhero named Aquascape Cup. Brown algae advice. Yeah, wipe it up and wait it out. Brown algae, I always get brown algae on a new tank. It's like that week 2, week 3, 4, something like that. You start to get that brown algae, and a lot of times you can kind of wipe it off. It is the best of the algae. Now, if you've got Autosynclus or shrimp or all those guys, they eat that stuff right up. So it shouldn't last long. In a healthy tank, that'll be gone in at least a couple of months, and you want to deal with it. But in the short term, it's just part of the process. It's just part of that breaking in period with the new tank. Nick says, have you ever won a mega box? Yes, I did. The February mega box last year, and it's a funny video. You should watch it. Let's see. Yeah, I got a canister filter. I ended up having to remove that canister filter later, but it was still a great prize, and I've got it set aside for another project down the road. High-tech tank advice. Chris is requesting some high-tech tank advice. A high-tech tank means different things to different people, but I think mostly what people mean when they say that is it's got injected CO2, and that's about it. So I only have one tank like that with injected CO2. It's got the Kessel light, and that's the cube downstairs. I put very little CO2 in there, and it makes a huge difference. If you're thinking about doing that with your planted tanks, your plants are going to grow like crazy. It took a little while to kind of get rolling, but the plants in that tank grow just to a tremendous degree, and it's really amazing to see the same plant in another tank be like this tall, and then in that tank they're the full length of the tank and like drooping over a little bit. So it goes from like a carpeting plant to this huge plant just with that Kessel light and some CO2, a little bit of CO2. I don't even add other things to that stuff, so pretty cool. Freshwater. Did I have tanks when I was little? No. Well, yes, I had one when I was really little that I don't remember. There were goldfish. It was a 10-gallon tank, and I barely remember it. Like, they must not have lived very long at all. It was the 70s. They didn't know things. So, especially my parents didn't know anything about fish because they never taught me anything about fish. In high school, I had an aquarium, and that's kind of a funny story that I'll tell you another time. And then, but it was just a small tank and just for a short time. And then my wife got me a 6-gallon Marineland Eclipse filter for, that's the bio wheel. She got me like a 6-gallon Eclipse filter for Valentine's Day, and I think within a month I bought another 2-gallon. Then a month after that, it was like a 12-gallon, and then until today. I really need that beer. I don't think I'm going to get a beer. They're not watching. I'm going to have to text. I'm going to have to text her. Bring Daddy a beer.
I don't see any matching places. Sorry about that.
Siri's not going to bring me a beer. Okay, so, sounds like, let's see. So, G is saying something about opaque film on the surface of the water. Yeah, if you have a nutrient buildup, you will get that. Sometimes I've found if your place is particularly dusty, dust will collect. Like if you're near a vent, like I've got vents right above my aquarium, which can be problematic for temperature and stuff, but also they blow dust right onto the surface of your aquarium, so you can kind of build up a little bit of a surface scum. You can spray that. One trick is you can spray that stuff with hydrogen peroxide, and it clears it right up. Of course, you can dip your cup in there and pull it out, but it's usually probably not a it's usually a sign of like maybe too many nutrients in the water. A lot of fish foods have oils in them. They're real oily and stuff like that. Could be the food that you're throwing in there is causing a little bit of that too. Okay, anybody have another question? Okay, Stephanie, best advice for Nano shrimp tank. Shrimp seem to like softer water, so I would recommend the soil substrate. Maybe that soil like aqua soil and the fluvial stratum and stuff like that. Seem to be good for shrimp too. Plus they're kind of small and round, so there's nothing to really like get them too caught up in. They can manipulate it and do things like that. So I recommend that for a substrate. Also plants. Plants are real important, both the little small tiny insects that grow on the plants and the algae and stuff like that grow on there. They'll sit there and graze on those things constantly. And I think that all that contact with the shrimp, that shrimp like really making contact and stimulating the leaves of these plants, I think it helps them to grow better. But that's just me, an amateur's opinion on that. So I would get the plants, let the plants grow in and get really stable. Make sure you got a nice, clean environment, no ammonia spike or anything like that. And throw some shrimp in there. They also like leaves. What I recommend, here's a great advice if you want to start a shrimp tank. Go over to Mark's Shrimp Tanks. He's another YouTuber. He's in the Netherlands, but I think he's Scottish, if I remember correctly. I apologize, Mark, if I messed that up. But it's great. So it's kind of like listening to Shrek tell you about shrimp tanks. Oh, there's some great shrimp tanks. But he's got all kinds of advice, great stuff. He's a lot more into shrimp, like the really tricky shrimp. I have cherry red shrimp. They're so easy to keep. They require like the same thing that everything else I keep requires. So it's really no hassle. I have them in every tank you see behind me. There are cherry red shrimp. I bought 30 of them on Aquabed, and I've never had to, and that was like 10 years ago. I've never had to buy any more. They just keep going and going and going. So. Nick says, any advice on black hair algae on plants? Not blackbeard algae. I haven't been great with dosing ferts consistently and have pretty good lighting. Well, all the different, there's a million different kinds of algae. I know you said not blackbeard, not BBA, which I assume is blackbeard algae. That's what I get the most, and I find a Siamese algae eater, or flying fox is the common name for that fish. They get get fairly big. I mean, when they're full grown, they'll be 4 or 5 inches long and pretty thick too, and powerful fish. Difficult to catch, in other words, but they love that blackbeard algae and they eat it all the time. So they're good. Good night, Neon Tetraquarist. Let's see. Wyatt. Hi, I'm new to the hobby. I love your videos. You're so real and knowledgeable. Here's my question. I'm starting a new tank and I want some really unique decor. Maybe a letter for my name. Where could I find that? Hobby Lobby. I don't know if you have those around, but they have big letters and stuff, both in metal, which I don't recommend for your aquarium, but they also have like some resin ones. I have a black pea that, if you look at my old videos, at the end of my old videos, I have that black pea that's in the aquarium and stuff, and that's where I got mine. It was Hobby Lobby. But yeah, I also eBay. Just look for something made of resin or plastic, and you'd be all right. I think resin is plastic technically, but yeah. Oh, Nick says that your autos won't touch that algae. That's unfortunate. Let's see. The guppy crib. Are you cycling any media for the 20 long? And how will I do it? Oh, well, I've got a couple of canister filters, and I usually pull media out of that. I keep a little bit of that ceramic media, especially the stuff that comes with the specs. Whenever we get a new spec or like her new tank and stuff, I usually take that media and I throw it in an aquarium. I didn't with hers because freshwater and saltwater have different forms of bacteria, I guess, do very similar things, but they're a little bit different. So, as I understand it, they are interchangeable. Anyway, so I always keep, in some of my tanks, I always keep a little bit of that ceramic media just kind of in the filter somewhere, not in the optimal condition. Like, a lot of times you want to put all that media like behind some mechanical filtration so it doesn't get all clogged up. I don't worry so much about that. I just let it get all messy and stuff in there, and I'll throw that in a new tank. And it usually has at least enough to kind of get things going. Andy's saying hi. Picked up a Mandarin goby. Those are really cool. I think they're kind of hard to feed. Don't they have to? Mandarin gobies are so beautiful, but from what I've told, like, they're kind of hard to feed. Like they like a very specific food that's hard to keep up naturally in the aquarium. I guess you can add stuff for them too, but I don't know. Good luck with that. They're beautiful fish. Has your daughter stocked any fish in the saltwater setup? No, not yet. Not yet. We're taking it really slow. We're gonna let that sit for a while. And then we'll add some stuff. I don't think it'll be too long though. It shouldn't be too much longer. All right. Well, guys, I don't think it's been an hour yet, but it's getting pretty close. I'm actually gonna head out. And how's the starfish doing? Yeah, starfish is doing good. As far as I know. I don't know much about starfish. Every time the lights are out, we'll look in there and see if it's wandering around. They always come out when the lights are out. It's pretty neat. All right. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm not sure what I'm going to do this weekend. I'm thinking about maybe doing another fish soup if Clone Charlie's up for it. It doesn't really come out. Okay. So, maybe me and Clone Charlie will do another fish soup. If not, then I'll bring you something else. I've got a couple other aquarium products that I might talk to you about. I have to go to a meeting to discuss some new products that have come out. So I go over to my local fish store. And sometimes they have some stuff they're like, hey, can you talk about this so we don't have to explain it to people? So I'm going to go down there and see if there's something new. And if not, maybe we'll do a fish soup. I'll be exploring people's YouTube channels. Be sure to make your recommendations for any YouTube channel I should check out and maybe do a call out to. So if you have a favorite one, leave it in the comments below after the video is over, because the chat will be gone very soon. But until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. Adios.